Make sure you have your highlighters ready to go. Key features of linear equations. Everything in this foldable is associated with lines, straight lines. So words that are only associated with linear functions. Only associated with linear functions. We just went over this. Slope. Slope, if you have any question that's regarding slope, 100% it's going to be linear. Now, solution is a little iffy, okay? When we're talking about solutions for linear functions, it has a different meaning than when we're talking about solutions for quadratics, okay? It can mean one of two things. If you're only looking at one line on the graph, a solution to that point, to that line is going to be any point on the line, very important, any point on the line. Now, let's say we have a system. A system is when you have two or more lines on the same graph. At that point, the solution is the point of intersection, the point where they cross, okay? Where the lines cross, where the lines meet. Do they meet? Do they cross one time? Do they not cross at all? Do they cross an infinite number of times? Okay. Those two words are very specific for linear. Now, if we're talking about solutions for a quadratic, then we're talking about x-intercepts specifically. But with this one, we're talking about points on the line. Other vocabulary words that they could ask you for are the y-intercept, the x-intercept, and in regards to the x-intercept, they will still refer it to the x-intercept as a 0. So make sure you remember that. Keep that in the back of your mind. Okay. X-intercept is still referred to as 0. So the very first example, this is one of the examples that you're going to see on your packet. And it's only going to ask you one question, but there's so many things that we can actually gather from this graph that I wanted to just do it all in one. After we go over this one, you should be able to answer all of the questions in the packet, okay? So first things first, even though it doesn't have the question attached, what do you think what would you assume it's asking for? Why would you assume that?
Because it has 2 points on there.
Because it has 2 points on there. Now, what can you do with those 2 points? Correct. You could just punch those into stat edit. Now, remember, I have told you in the past that you need to create a table because 9 out of, or actually, I'm not going to say 9 out of 10. 3, maybe 4 out of 10 times, I'll have a student that puts the 10 and the 22,500 on the same side of the table. So make sure you separate them. 10, 22,500. 35, 11,250. Okay. Now, because this is a straight line, you can physically see the straight line. It does say linear relationship, so make sure you highlight that as well. It does say linear relationship. What option, what feature are we going to use in stat calculate? 4. Okay. So I'm actually going to write the number 4 right here for lin regression. Now, between the two numbers that it gives you at the very end, A and B, which one is my slope? A. A is your slope. The variable that we actually use for slope is M. In the calculator, it pops up as A, but the variable that we use is M. And what did they give you for that? Negative 450. Negative 450. So this is the slope of the line. Now, because this graph has titles, any graph that has titles, once again, you're going to stay in the first quadrant, but all of your numbers are going to be attached to a description. If your graph has titles, the number has to be attached to a description. What is this negative 450 describing? We're going down by 450, but what are we actually doing? Why are we going down? Think about it. Read the title. What are we talking about here?
A loan.
We're talking about a loan. And in the beginning, or what is the y-axis describing?
The balance.
The remaining balance. And what does the x-axis represent? The number of payments. So what's going on when I'm decreasing by 450?
Not paying.
Not that you're not paying because it's a loan. Everybody knows what a loan is?
Yeah.
You're borrowing money. You're borrowing money. So why would it go down if you're borrowing money? You're giving it back. So this slope is representing what you pay each month. So we're actually going to write that in sentence form. I pay $450. Even though it's a negative, I'm paying $450. This is slope per, there's my slope keyword, per month. So in the answer choices, you could see that I'm paying $450 per month. Okay. Another thing that we can get from this, what other number did they give you in that last screen whenever you stat edit?
The B,
What is B?
27,000.
And what does B represent?
5%.
And your y-intercept is where you cross the y-axis, right? So my y-intercept, oh my gosh, not an M, N, my bad. Intercept. I'm gonna put a B in parentheses, but the y-intercept is known as my what in words? Starting, it's my starting point. In this case, it's my starting what? Starting balance, starting balance. It's my starting balance. What is that starting balance?
27,000.
Okay, now that 27,000, is that my Y value? Is that my X value? It's my Y value, $27,000. Now I can guesstimate by looking at the graph, but using stat edit, I know for sure it's 27,000. What's my X value here? 0. So any y-intercept, your x value is going to be 0, y-intercept, or your y value is going to be some type of number. What else can I gather from this graph? What else could they ask me about this graph? One more thing.
What solutions to this graph?
Okay, if it's asking me, well, no, not solution. Try again. X-intercept. So if it asks me for the x-intercept, it would be asking me for the what?
Number of monthly payments.
The 0. It would be asking me for the 0. Good. If it asks for the x-intercept, it might give it to me in the form of the word 0. What is the 0 of the function? Now, if it does ask me for that x-intercept, what is the 0? What is the ordered pair? Give me my x and my y value. 60, comma 0. Notice how that 60 is on the x-axis. Don't mix it up with 0, 60. The 60 is on the x-axis. The 27,000, which should be here, is on the y-axis, okay? So don't get that mixed up. Now, what is that 60 representing? Is it representing my balance or my payments? If my x-axis is referred to payments, it's 60 payments. I'm just going to put I can put payments. And what is the 0 referring to? It's my Y value. My Y values all describe a what? Balance. It's at the very end, so it's not my starting balance, but it is a $0 balance. So I'm gonna put balance. That was supposed to be an arrow, the weirdest looking arrow I've ever drawn. So I'm just gonna put balance right there. So how could we put this point in sentence form? How could we write it? How could we describe it? Yeah. It took what?
It took 60 months for me to pay off my debt.
There you go. It took 60 months, number of monthly payments, 60 months or 60. I'm going to just write payments. It took 60 payments to pay off my loan. Remember, a loan, you're borrowing money, so you have to pay it back. If we're at a number $0 balance, that means we're done paying it. We're paying it off, okay? Ooh, Alex took the time to convert it back. 60 months equals 5 years. Nice. Well, actually, let's go ahead and write that in. That's good. That's good stuff to know. 60 months equals 5 years. Because you could, in your answer choices, they could give you 60 months But they could also write it as 5 years. And you wouldn't know that unless you convert it.
What if they did that in days? That would be taken.
That would be messed up, but you never know. It is the state of Texas.
Well, 365.
No, we're not gonna do all that.
I'm
Anyway,
sorry.
moving on. Finding the x-intercept. Finding the x-intercept when you do not have a graph. Ooh,
1,825 days.
yeah. It's because it covers a bunch of different problems. All right, so 0. Once again, 0 is your what? X-intercept. 0 is an x-intercept. Look at that equation. There's an easy way to do it. There's a hard way. We're gonna do it both.
What?
R of x. R of x is the same as having what? A y equals in that spot, right? And anytime you see a y equals, what do?
Put it in the
Put it in y equals. So type into y equals. You want to type that into y equals and just simply look at the graph.
The graph.
Yeah, hold on. Let me open up my calculator. Yeah, there's a hard way to do it. There's an easy way to do it. Give me a second. The calculator part, we're not gonna do, or I take everything back. I'm not gonna say nothing. So go to y equals, type in your 8/3, alpha y equals 8/3 x minus 16, and I hit graph. You can actually see the line on, yeah, you can see the line going through this screen, so you don't have to zoom out, zoom in, anything like that. And you can, instead of having to press second calculate, you can literally count the dots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what? 6. So what's my answer? Oh, Lord. The answer is C. The answer is C. Okay, C is what's representing my what? X-intercept. All of your answer choices are possible x-intercepts. They're possible x-intercepts. Only one of them fits, but they're possible x-intercept. Now, go ahead and hit second graph for me. Hit second graph. All right, everybody already has that written down. Look at the very top of my screen. What do we have? 0 what?
-16.
Is -16 an answer choice?
Yes.
Yes. And why would anybody pick -16? If they confuse the word 0 for what? For a y-intercept. For a y-intercept. This is an actual STAR test question, so just FYI. They will throw the y-intercept, so you need to know that 0 represents x-intercept. Now, let's say, for example, this equation is not solved for y. Let's just pretend it's not solved for y. A lot of us, I want to say a good 50% of us are still not good at solving for y. Okay, so we're going to do it the other way as well. 0, highlight this. 0 is an x-intercept. What should we know about x-intercepts?
The y.
The y is what?
0.
The y value is 0. With any x-intercept, the y value will be 0. I can pick any point on the x-axis, the y value will be 0. So what can we do? We can substitute a 0 for y. I can put a 0 in this spot, and that's exactly what I'm going to do right here. So I'm going to put a 0 here, 8/3. Because these are all possible x values, I can substitute. I can substitute it myself. I can plug the numbers in myself. I can take this -16, -6, 6, and 16 and put it in this spot. Or what's my favorite way? Store it. Favorite, I think best way to do it is to store it. Because when you store it, you don't have to worry about parentheses, where to put it or anything like that. So we're gonna type in 0. How do you get your equal sign? Second math. And alpha y equals for that fraction, 8/3. Oh man, I forgot to store it. Whoops. Minus 16. We were doing a lot of this. Now I'm gonna go ahead and continue, but technically you're supposed to store the number first and then type the equation. My bad. So the first answer choice that we're given is what? -16. So let's store that now. -16, store is right above on. So you press that button, stow, X. All right, now that it's now that I've stored it, the calculator is going to do it for me. It's going to put a -16 anywhere it sees an X. Now, since I don't want to type this all over again, I'm just going to highlight it up 1, 2, 3, right there. Push enter, enter. And then what does it give me? Equals 0. Why does it give me equals 0? It's not the correct answer. Equals 0 actually means it's false. So not the correct answer. Okay. So let's actually go ahead and put C in there. So 6 store X. Now I'm telling the calculator, I want you to plug in a 6 anywhere you see an X. You can type the equation in all over again. If you don't remember that, you can highlight it. This is just faster. Enter, enter again. And there's your what? 1. So all of your other answer choices will give you an equal 0. Put equal 0. Not actually going to go through it. This one gave me equals 1, meaning that is my right answer. And I'm showing you both ways once again, because even though this exact problem is very easy because it's already solved for Y, you could run into a situation where you have an equation that's not. Okay. Moving on. Questions on this one? All right. This one. What if the equation is given in standard form? There it is. This is the type of equation I'm talking about where it's not solved for Y. A lot of us are still not very good at solving for Y. If you think you're good at solving for Y and you're comfortable solving for Y, go for it, okay? But let's be realistic as well. Don't say, oh, I'm a pro at solving for Y and knowing dang well that you're not good at solving for Y. Use this trick, please, okay? Don't miss it because you don't know how to do this trick. We said that any point on the line, if we plug it into the equation, it will make it true. So right here, you can pick any point on the line. In this case, I picked 0, -3, but then I also picked what? -5, 0. It's always easier to pick the X or the Y intercept. And in this case, I actually picked both for a reason, because there's one answer choice. Whenever you come across this one on your packet, there's one answer choice that has, or there's 2 answer choices that will give you a 1 or something like that. You'll know what I'm talking about when you come across it. So I'm gonna put X and Y. You can pick any other point. It does not have to be the X and the Y intercept. What's another good point here? We're not gonna actually work with it, but what's another good point? +5, -6 is a very good point, yes. I'm just put it down here. X, Y, +5, -6. Okay. Now I used my favorite way, storing, and I actually gave you the screen. So we're not going to sit here and go through the calculator steps. This is one that we're just going to listen, pay attention, right? Now, this is the wrong answer. Every time I put a graph and I give you one of the wrong answers, you guys immediately go to the packet and circle that as your right answer. And I'm tired of seeing that. So I actually put a little note. This is the wrong answer. Do not go to your packet, find this graph and circle it as your right answer. It's not. I'm giving you a wrong answer for a reason. I want you to know how a wrong answer looks. That way you can use the time or take the time to find the correct one, okay? Read those are not updated. After that, you can substitute the point, either plugging it in yourself, putting the parentheses in yourself, or you store it, okay? So here we go. I plugged in the -5, so -5 for X, 0 for Y. And then I typed this very same equation, -3X plus 5Y equals -15. There it is. What did it give me? It gave me 0, meaning this point does not belong to this equation. But then when I typed in my y-intercept, that's why I said you could use either or you can do both. When I typed in the y-intercept 0, -3, what did it give me?
1.
A 1. So only one of the points worked. You know that 0, 3 does belong to this equation, but not 5, 0. Okay, so there's a hint right there. One thing we do need to write is if you do pick 2 points, if you pick 2 points, if you have to pick another point, if you get 2 equals 1 and you have to end up picking another point, you must get 1 for both points. You must get 1 for both points. You must get your equals 1 for both points. Yes, you can solve for y and compare it to the graph. This is just a way of showing you how to do it without solving for y, okay? Turn the page. No. So, graphing an inequality when you're given that inequality in standard form. If you look at this one, it's given to you solved, okay? But we are talking about the solution set. What is the solution part of any inequality? The hint is in those 2 answer choices that I've given you. Correct. Your solution to an inequality will be the shaded area. The solution to any inequality will be the shaded area. Now, this one's actually easy because the equation is already solved for y, but I'm going to also show you how to do it in case it's not. First thing you do want to do, first thing you have to know is whether you're looking for a dotted or a solid line. What are we looking for? Solid, which is why I gave you the 2 answer choices that are solid, okay? That's why I gave you the 2 answer choices that are solid. If you look at that line under the inequality, it's a solid line. Easiest way to remember, okay? So you can at least narrow it down. Even if you don't know how to solve for y, you can narrow it down. From there, there's 2 different ways to actually figure this out. So this equation or this inequality is solved for y. Anytime we have anything solved for y, what can we do? Nope. Y equals. Anything solved for y, y equals. You can use that symbol, and we are going to learn how to use that symbol, but y equals, because I'm about to show you a whole other trick, and it's going to be awesome. So alpha y equals, put your 3/4, x minus 4. This, we're using y equals because it's already solved, okay? Now, from there, go to the very, very far left that you can, on the left side of the y1, where you see that line. Scroll over. For this trick, you have to know the name of the inequality. What is the name of it?
Less than or equal to.
See, that's why we're already missing it. Less. Less means what? Less means to shade which way?
Down.
Below. So what would actually be my answer?
The top one.
The top one. I'm gonna put a little check mark there, put a little X at the bottom one. Whatever we get, it better look like this, okay? All right, let me go back to my calculator. Press enter. When you press enter, it'll do the shading for you. This one is stating that it's gonna shade in between the lines. I don't have 2 lines. Press enter again. Here, it'll shade above the line for you. Press enter again. That will shade below the line. Press graph. So that looks most like what?
The top one.
My top answer choice. It looks like my top answer
It
choice,
is
not,
without-
it looks like that top answer choice, not the bottom. This only works, you cannot do a dotted line in here, so sorry if you don't know the difference between dotted and solid, sucks for you, but you can use this. From there, let's say, for example, this inequality is not solved for y. Let's say I suck at solving for y, I don't want to take that risk. We just said our solutions are in the shaded area. So for the top answer choice, give me a point in the shaded area.
-5.
Top answer choice.
-5.
-5, -1 is,
+5. Sorry.
+5, -1, that's a good one. But just let's try to be super safe. I'm gonna pick this one right here, right smack in the middle. There's no doubt about it. That is in the shaded area. 5, -5. So what I'm gonna do from there is I'm gonna store the 5 for X, and I'm going to store the -5 for Y. Now, yesterday, those of you that were in intervention, we practiced storing for Y. Does everybody know how to store for Y?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's alpha one.
Alpha 1. So 5 store X. Those of you that haven't practiced that, look right above the 1 and you'll see a little green Y. That's your Y. So -5 store, since it's green, alpha 1. Alpha 1, we'll put that 5 in there. Yeah, the Y in there for you. Push enter. And now you can type that inequality. So Y is less than or equal to, even if you don't know the name, when you press second math, you can match it up. And it looks like this very, very bottom inequality, number 6. And then you can type in the rest of the equation. 3/4 over 4x minus 4. And what does that one give you? A 1. So what does a 1 mean?
Right.
True, correct answer. We're gonna put a little check mark there. Now give me any point in this shaded area for the wrong answer. Give me one that's a safe point.
Zero, 4. 0, 4.
-3, 0.
We're gonna use 0, 4. Somebody was super adamant about using 0, 4, XY. So store the 0 as your X, store the 4 as your Y, and you should get an equal 0, because it should not be a solution for the equation given in the problem. Oops, second quit, my bad. Oh Lord, it's falling apart. Okay, 0 store X, 4 store Y. I don't want to type that inequality again because it takes long doing it with a mouse. And there's my equal 0. Equal 0 means wrong answer. Okay. Here we go. Next one. You're really going to love this trick for the next one. Because it's still asking for the solution. We just said it. Solution is in the shaded area. Long way to do this is to solve for Y, graph it, shade it, and then check your points. But what did we just learn? How to what? Store. How to store. They're giving us the ordered pairs to try. So I can store the 0 for X, and I can store the 2 for Y. These are my possible solutions. These are all of my possible solutions. We got to find which one fits. Solutions. Okay, we already have that inequality. We just got to plug these numbers in. So 0 store X, 2 store alpha Y, and then we type in that inequality, which is 8x plus 16y. I'm just showing you how to avoid having to solve for y. And it's greater than, which one's greater than? Option 3, third line, right there. And then there's a 32 on the other side of that. And what does that first one give us? It gives us equal 0. So A is not my correct answer. Let's try the next one. -3 store X, 5 store Y, alpha. I'm too lazy to type it in again, so I'm going to highlight it, enter. And what does that one give us? Equals 1. So what's my correct answer? B. And what did we just do? Avoid solving for Y, graphing it, shading it. You're welcome. Turn the page. All right, system. With the system, sorry for your bad luck, but some things cannot be avoided. Some things cannot be avoided, and solving for y cannot be avoided in this one. I can help you narrow it down to a 50-50 chance if you don't know how to solve for y, but that's as far as I can help you with the system. Here we go. First, I put this answer, or I put this step in the wrong order. This should be your very first step. Eliminate any answer choice that doesn't match to its solid or dotted line. Eliminate any answer choice that doesn't match to a solid or dotted line. Okay, so Aiden, that first equation represents a what? A solid or a dotted line? Dotted. Okay, so dotted. I'm gonna say dotted. What about the bottom one? Solid. So you're gonna have answer choices on some questions, not on every question, where it's gonna give you 2 dotted lines or it'll give you 2 solid lines. You could eliminate those. So I've narrowed it to dotted solid, dotted solid. That's as far as I can get you if you don't know how to solve for y. From there, with the system of inequality, it will be a 1 or 2 step at most. So let's go ahead and solve. Okay, it will be a 1 or a 2 step at most. How do I solve for y here? There's only one step.
Move the x to the other side. And
How?
Y equals-
How?
Minus,
Oh, you gotta put the line first.
subtract the x.
Subtract the x. Thank you. So I subtract x. Did we do any type of dividing here?
No.
So do we have to worry about flipping that?
No.
No. Bring it down. But I do know that that positive one represents my what? Y-intercept. It represents my y-intercept. So I should have a what? A dotted, I'm gonna put DOT. I should have a dotted line at a y-intercept of 1. 1 dotted line. Y-intercept of 1 dotted line. We're good there. Let's do the next one. Ready? X minus y. This is actually a 2-step, and this is probably the most missed 2-step inequality. You'll see why. What's my first step? Same as the last time. Minus x. It's a positive, so we're going to subtract x. Okay. I bring my y down, negative x plus 2. What did I do wrong, and what do 90% of you do wrong? This has a negative right there. That's where 90% of students will miss it because they forget to bring down that negative. Okay. It creates a -1, and that -1 is very, very crucial because what does dividing by a -1 do to the inequality? It flips the sign. So I'm going to highlight dividing -1, dividing -1, dividing -1, because we are dividing by a negative number, we have to flip the sign, and it is no longer less, it is now greater. And -1 divided by -1 just gives you a positive 1x, -2. We know that the -2 is my y-intercept, and this is still a what? Solid line, right? So we should have a solid line at a -2 y-intercept. Solid line, -2 y-intercept. We're good there. Solid line, -2 y-intercept. We're good there. But we have solved for y. Ready? Ready? Okay. We have solved for y. So what can we do? Put it in y equals -x plus 1. And what is the name of that first inequality? Less or greater? Less. So that means we should be pressing enter until it's showing that we're going to shade below. Okay. Let's type in that next one, which is what? Positive 1x minus 2. And we don't go off of the original because we solved for y and it flipped. It's now, what is the name of the inequality in the final answer? Greater than. So we need to press enter until it's shaded above. Everybody ready? Hit graph once you're done. You're not doing anything. Go to the bathroom.
Holy Lord.
And what's your answer? First one. First one. First one. But once again, you can grab an ordered pair and you can plug it in. Here, we're not going to go through it, but if I type in a -4, 0, if I store a -4, 0, you will get your equals 1. You'll get your equals 1. Here, if I change it to a +4, 0, put an X and a Y, +4, 0, you'll get your equals 0, which means it's the wrong answer, okay? You can also do that. Up to you. Different ways. Last one. Last one. Here we go. Which graph represents the system of equation and its solution? Is my solution going to be my shaded area here? No, because there isn't shading. There isn't shading because there isn't inequalities. This is an equal sign, okay? This is an equal sign. So you have to be looking for the point of intersection. So you're going to have 4 graphs. You're going to label the point of intersection for each answer choice. Each answer choice, okay? Label the point of intersection for each answer choice. Let's just go ahead and label it for this one. And what is the point of intersection? -2, 0, x, y. Ready? Now, highly unlikely. I'm gonna put an extra star next to it. Highly unlikely. I'm gonna draw an arrow. If both equations are in standard form where x and y are on the same side, which they are, you can use matrix. We've already gone over the steps for matrix, so I'm not going to go there. There is a 95% chance. There is a 95% chance that it will be mixed, that one of them is going to be solved and the other one is not. That one of them is going to be in standard form where the x and the y are on the same side, and the other one is either going to be y equals or it's going to be x equals, okay? So, ready? I went ahead and I did matrix, okay? We're not going to go through the steps, but I am going to give you what the numbers give you. So it will give you 1, 0, -2, my bad. 1, 0, -2, and 0, 1, 0. That -2 is my x value, the 0 is my y value. Unless you see a 0, 0, 0 or a 0, 0, 1, you use this ordered pair, okay? And there's your -2, 0, okay? Other than that, what you want to do is you want to store it. I know that the point of intersection for this graph is -2, 0, so I stored a -2 for x and a 0 for y. And I typed it into the very first equation that it gives me, and that gave me a 1. Good. The 3x and the 15y, that's the second equation, but we're still using the same one, and that one also gives me a 1. Highlight this. You must get a 1 for both equations for your answer to be correct, and also highlight if not. And we're done.
Oh, yeah.